All right, man. We've had all summer. The producers have had all summer to get the Shouty Shows ready.
Yeah.
We have a whole new intro. And for those of you who are new, the Shouty Shows. Give a little explanation of what the Shouty Shows are. What we do here with the Shouty Shows.
Well, the archetypal Shouty show would be the Skip Bayless versus Stephen A. Smith. What was that crap called when it was on?
Was that First Take? I
can't remember. Whatever it was.
All I know is
those two, right?
Replace cold pizza. Rest in peace.
Those two, the, bloviating, shouty, worthless information world of sports entertainment television, the embrace debate world, right? Where you just, sporting thing happens. In order to react to it, you basically just think, well, what is the most ridiculous, over-the-top, shouty argument I can create on this? And then me and somebody else will fight about it on the TV. That's what the Shouty Shows are. And we generally don't like that because it's not genuine.
You should fix your IFB.
I'm like tapped out in terms of...
You can't look any more professional?
No. I'm tapped out in terms of cable length here. So it's really no...
It's not professional of me to call you out on it, but I figured...
That's where we are.
Scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
So that's what we do with the Shouty Shows. We like to listen to the Shouty Show takes.
Yeah.
We have not heard these before, but we react in real time to the Shouty Shows. We have a whole new intro. Let's go to the intro. Shouty Show time. Let's do it.
I've thought about it very deeply.
I liked how he started it with, I've thought about this long and hard.
I trust the backup quarterback more than I do Dak.
This is why Skip Bayless is the master of the Shouty Show segment.
I can't do it anymore. It is year 6.
It's just a never-ending arms race of idiocy between loud, obnoxious people. We are the antidote to that.
All right.
I thought about wearing that T-shirt today, the No Shouty Shows one.
The No Shouty Shows?
But I thought it would be mixed messaging, Like, we're anti-Shouty Show. Having said that, we're listening to the...
We're pro-Shouty Show segments.
Exactly. I thought that would be confusing.
All right. We got a bunch today. It's been all summer. So let's start with a reaction to Shadur Sanders' debut.
Tonight, Shadur Sanders made the entire National Football League look like a whole bunch of petty fools. In some cases, racist fools. In many cases, Dion despising fools. Tonight at Carolina, Shadur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round. I said before last college season started that Shadur Sanders should go number 1 overall. It was either he or Travis, 1, 2, 2, 1, and I would go every time with the quarterback because he is the quarterback. He is him.
Welcome back, Skip.
The decline of Skip Bayless in the last couple of years has been steep, precipitous.
I think he's taking a little bit of what Mel did with the draft. Is like the extra passion, like he's almost near tears.
No, but it reminds me of like the late era Bob Dylan. If you ever see Bob Dylan in the latter years on stage, he's just this sort of immobile husk who can barely make noise and just sort of, it sounds like an old man, right? Like it sounds like a guy who's done with life effectively and is just clinging on and yet still on the touring circuit. That's kind of what Skip Bayless sounds. Where's the passion? Where's the emotive, argumentative Skip that used to be, that created this whole world? Now he's just going through the motions. He's mailing it in.
I just think he's sad and insulted like Mel was.
That's what he's done.
That he went 5 in round 5.
No, because we had...
Shame on all the other teams, including his own team.
We had clips of Skip before the summer, and this is what he sounds like now. He's just like drained.
You think he's completely...
Skip has lost the motivation for Shouty.
Content-wise, it's still there. Content?
I mean,
he's taken preseason week 1 and declaring victory.
Yes.
That's good. That's well done.
I mean,
That's good show. That's
standard
good Shouty
Shouty,
show.
yeah. Standard Shouty show business. Having said that,
I saw one game in the preseason, and that confirmed all my priors.
having said that, okay, absolutely. That's a standard Shouty show MO. But even in the world of Shouty Shows and Shadur Sanders, this is the second spiciest take I've seen in the last day or two, because I saw Michael Irvin out there demanding written apologies for Shadur Sanders based off that one preseason game.
As I've reminded people, there were apologies actually written or said from Dan Orlovsky to Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it was after his first preseason game, but definitely by the end of the preseason. For those who have a short memory, that was 2019. I know, 6 years ago. Daniel Jones went 29 of 34 with 3 or 4 touchdowns in the preseason. So if you were a Daniel Jones doubter, and we were like, hey, man.
And there were plenty of them.
I would not take Daniel Jones at 6 overall.
Right.
I mean, we were getting attacked left and right, but we stood strong. We're like, it's preseason, And Dan O, I think, actually gave an apology. Michael Irvin, I believe he also had the Quinn Ewers equals Tom Brady take. I think he had that one before.
That one didn't age well this week.
And so, look, as neutral observers here, we're not going to victory lap that because Quinn Ewers didn't look good after one, just like we're not going to declare Shadur Sanders the number 1 overall pick. Should have been, You regret that, Titans? You see what Shadur did? Not ready to do that. But content-wise, so I hear what you're saying. Passion-wise, maybe not there with Skip. I think content-wise, though, he's close. Still close.
I mean, sure. I think it's middling content, and I think it's poor delivery.
All right, next one. We're going to go a little Jalen Hurts takes here. Some Jalen Hurts.
So some quarterbacks in this league are Taylor Swift. They're leading the entire tour. Most quarterbacks in this league are the Spice Girls. They're part of an ensemble. Jalen is part of an ensemble. Of the 50 voters, 50 in the Mike Sando survey, of the 50,
Not me.
3 had Jalen Hurts as a tier 1 quarterback. Okay, it'd be different if it was 23, and then we could argue. But he was much closer to 7th-rounder Brock Purdy than Mahomes, Burrow, and Josh Allen or Lamar. And that's exactly right.
Not controversial.
No.
I love a good Spice Girls reference.
Already you could hear the increased passion, the motivation in his delivery. He feels like, Colin Cowherd is a man that's built an empire on this, and he's still motivated to go to work every day. Skip's not.
Does Colin has a good structure, right? It's I could see him writing these down, right, and being analogy.
That is a wild analogy to bring out.
Analogy, data to back it up, and then wrap it with, what it all means.
Just deciding to compare quarterbacks to Taylor Swift and the Spice Girls is pretty out there.
There's 4 Taylor Swifts in the NFL at any given time, and Jalen Hurts isn't one of them.
Right.
It's just a Spice Girl.
It's just a Spice Girl.
Didn't they all try to break out on their own? Didn't work that well.
Certainly 1 or 2 of them did.
What was their heyday? I keep thinking it was 95. I think it was closer to 98.
Late 90s.
97,
right.
98.
I don't know. Sure.
Love a good Spice Girls reference.
He's right.
This isn't controversial, right? Now, there was the one, what did,
Well, the only controversy is...
what did Dan O say?
The only thing about Jalen Hurts is he's the one guy where if you want to hyper-focus on QB wins, that he jumps that into a different category because he's just annihilated Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's his second Super Bowl where he's played spectacular football, albeit minus 1 play, which probably cost him the first one. And the Eagles won a ton of games. So if all you want to do is focus on the stuff that we know is massively influenced by a million other outside factors, you can say Jalen Hurts is elite. And, Nick Wright, a Shouty Show exponent and student of the craft.
Oh,
he
absolute
said on his
student.
own show, this is a take that is out there, right? If you want this take, you can build the argument that Jalen Hurts is the elite quarterback right now or the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, I don't believe it, but if somebody wants to make that take, it's there to be had for a Shouty Show segment. Cowherd is simply pushing back against that and being like, nope, not on my watch.
Yeah, I think most people agree, including 3 out of 50. Now, you thought the 50 voters. You thought he was
We
talking
were talking about the AP voters.
You thought he was going to say no AP voter gave him an MVP vote.
Yeah.
Right? Which I don't remember where he ended up, but I don't think he had any first, second, or thirds. I'm a lot closer to QB wins than maybe I used to be, because I do think over time that does get you in the ballpark, which will be interesting with Hurts, because it's not revisionist history to say that the Eagles have had one of the best rosters in the NFL during his entire time there.
Right.
That's not revisionist history. That's every year we go in and we're like, man, these guys are loaded. All hail Howie as the best GM in the NFL because of how they build through the draft, how they manage free agency, how they manage contracts, how do they have so many good players on the team at a given time. So, it's not a wild take on Jalen Hurts, just a fun analogy. Taylor Swift and the Spice Girls. He's also cross-comparing eras.
It's true. He is.
Right? It'd be like...
You're not supposed to do that.
You're closer if you said Madonna and the Spice Girls. She's 80s, they're 90s, but we're in 2025 here.
And that still feels like it's cross-comparing eras.
A little bit.
I'm not sure who the soloist in the late 90s would be.
In the late 90s? I don't know. Music was all over the place.
Is it Celine? Is it Celine Dion?
Celine? No, don't pull out Celine again. I mean, in that year, you've got My Heart Will Go On.
That's what I'm saying.
It will. So
it might be Celine.
Josh Allen, Celine.
I never want to hear that song again, but it might be it.
Oh, man. All right. Let's go. We've got next one. We've got a prediction for the best QB in the NFC North. I know where this is going.
By the end of this season, Caleb Williams will be by many considered the best quarterback in his division. I think Jared Goff is going to suffer a bit from the lack of Ben Johnson. As much as you don't like Ben Johnson, the head coach, you loved Ben Johnson, the coordinator, and the early reports out of that training camp are that transition's been a little rocky. And I think we're going to see a fair amount of J-No to go along with J-Lo. And so not that he's going to have the best stats over the course, but because of how he finishes the season, because of how he looks over the final
like
6
Love
weeks.
did
Correct. Exactly right. Like how we felt Jordan Love after his first year as the starter. A lot of people were like, I think he's the best quarterback in that division right now.
Speaking of Nick Wright, I thought this was going somewhere else. I think it might be the next one, though.
See, this is why he is currently the finest Shouty Show person out there.
Stop. Don't start.
Serious, because
You're just trying to get Nick back on the show.
You can see the science behind this. Not only is it, quite a spicy take that Caleb Williams will be the best quarterback or seen as the best quarterback in the NFL, in the division rather, by the end of the season. Number one, so it's spicy to begin with because you're taking that. It's a hot take. Good starting point. Number two, it's a prediction, always good because people can then throw that back at you that, I'm going to bookmark this, keep the receipts. That's good. Number three, you're buying low on it. So it's like the exact opposite of what everybody else is thinking right now, right? Cowherd's problem is most people weren't really thinking that with the Jalen Hurts thing. So half the reaction is, sure, I agree. Nobody's agreeing with this. A year ago, maybe, everyone's like, yeah, Caleb Williams is super talented, and they've helped him. Now, it's like after last season, you're like, well, he didn't do it last year. It was kind of disappointing. Maybe Caleb Williams isn't all that. And Nick Wright's actually like, nah, instead, I'm going to say he's going to come out of this year as the best quarterback in this division. And then lastly, you're even showing people, like, this is what happened with Jordan Love. Like, we already did this. Like, this is how it works. This is masterful craft.
You just want Nick. You're still afraid of him.
I'm not
afraid
of him.
Patrick Mahomes a couple weeks ago over Josh Allen.
This
you're
is
just
why
worried that he's going to text you.
This is why he's on the ascent, right? He used to be just on like a Chiefs radio show. Right now he's FS1 star guy, and he's slugging away with Stephen A.
I agree with you. It is well crafted. The other part that I will say, I think referencing the Jordan Love season, the 2023 season where Jordan Love spent the first half of the year. And I kept saying, man, he's not on the same page as his receivers. The accuracy's all over the place. The footwork's a mess. And the switch flipped in the second half of that year, and he looked elite, right? Jordan Love was going toe-to-toe with the Chiefs and other top teams in the league and making big-time throws left and right. If that happens this year, I wouldn't be surprised. Caleb Williams, extremely talented. We've seen glimpses of the good play. If it does neatly fit into that narrative of it takes a half season, he's getting used to Ben Johnson, they're getting used to each other, it's a whole new system, whole new coaching style in Ben Johnson. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the year, we're like, man, Caleb Williams is balling.
Yeah.
The other part that makes it crafty, who's he competing with in the NFC North,
this
right?
Is the thing.
Because
this is why
Jared Goff is good.
This is why it's so good, because it's eminently plausible. Because maybe it's not the most likely thing to happen, but it's entirely, possible.
Jared Goff is good, but even in his best seasons, most of the time you're like, yeah, but Sean McVay, yeah, but Ben Johnson, and look at all these playmakers for the Lions. Even when Jared Goff puts up the best numbers, nobody's like, Jared Goff, he's the driver. He has a history of, being malleable to the situation, right? Jordan Love has been very inconsistent, and you have first-year starter J.J. McCarthy. So that's the other part, kudos to Nick, is choosing, 1 out of 4. You got a 25% chance of being right from a starting point, and the competition isn't that steep.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. It's entirely possible that this could happen. J.J. McCarthy could be anything. Who knows? Jordan Love is already getting the is he overrated stuff based off, it was half a year of incredible play, and then last year he wasn't as good. And then Jared Goff is good, not great, and his coordinator just left. And a lot of people are putting a ton of stock into, how much of Goff's success was Ben Johnson as opposed to Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, the receivers, the environment around him. So it's entirely possible that that actually ends up being the case. And then the other thing is, it was a disappointing year from Caleb Williams last year. He still threw for 3,500 yards, 20 incredible touchdown to interception ratio, had a few games in there where you did get to see the glimpses. It is the right, I think, reaction to the current overall vibes on Caleb Williams is to say he's probably better than the negativity surrounding him at the moment. Plus, you're giving him Ben Johnson and an upgraded supporting cast and all those kinds of things. So, again, you say it's just me being sycophantic. I'm telling you, this guy is current. He's the Taylor Swift of the hot take genre right now.
We'll send that to Nick. You're Sam's hero. Hot take, Shouty Show hero.
Oh, I
Nick
mean,
Wright.
I hate it, but this is the
Well
guy to
done.
recognize.
Changing the game. He's a game changer. You called him the Taylor Swift. I think he'd appreciate it if you called him the Patrick Mahomes
I'm sure he would. Yeah.
of his craft. All right, now we have a prediction for MVP this year.
I love. Jordan Love will win the MVP. Look, you take away 3 or 4 throws from last year, he was right there. I love Matthew Golden. He was my favorite receiver in the draft last year. Great route runner, great hands. You put him around Dontavius Wicks, Jay Reed, everybody else. This team will score and score often. Little concerned about the secondary, but they should be explosive on offense. This is Jordan Love's year.
That's our boss,
Mike T.
Tannenbaum. Mike T, bringing it. I saw this a few weeks ago. This is why I thought that the last one was this, but it related, right? So clearly he disagrees with Nick Wright. He thinks the best quarterback in the NFC North will be Jordan Love.
Well, not just that, but he's pushing it a step further and going MVP, up in the ante, up in the stakes.
Mike's got some bold takes out there.
He does
all the time. This one's fun. I mean, look, we've said before the ceiling of Jordan Love is extremely high.
Yeah.
Ceiling meaning the
ceiling is certainly MVP.
His best levels of play.
Right. I mean, if you put together a full season of the second half of 2023, I think that is an MVP caliber season.
Yeah. So this isn't. I mean, on the surface, it's kind of wild because most people, if they're making their MVP takes, they're going to start with the top 4 consensus quarterbacks, of which Jordan Love is not one. The consensus being Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Joe Burrow. So the 4 of those guys. There's always a fun debate for who QB5 is. The Sando list had Matthew Stafford, by the way, which I think
which is a consistent theme amongst NFL people, that Matthew Stafford is always rated higher than everyone thinks he should be.
Yeah, that also feels a year outdated, but that is true. Jaden Daniels could be in that mix. Jordan Love could be in that mix. C.J. Stroud could be in that mix. Justin Herbert, right? There are several different ways you could go for QB5. And Mike's essentially saying, we're gonna get back to peak Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And he loves Matthew Golden as well. He loves that addition, where I think you and I, we're fine. We're 2 straight years of being a little bit lower on a pretty good first-round wide receiver. I think we were a little bit lower on Golden. But if I'm not saying he's Brian Thomas Jr., but if he is as good as a lot of people think Matthew Golden is, then he does become wide receiver 1 for the Packers and a key weapon for Jordan Love.
I'll also say that for MVP, I think now this might change now that it's sort of a ranked system in the voting it used to be just you give your MVP vote to somebody. Now it's like you rank your order of top 5 guys, so that and points are awarded accordingly. So it might change there, but there is a tendency for like incredible season, unexpected season, career year for a random quarterback. It like propels them to being MVP. So like Matt Ryan's 2016, Cam Newton's 2015, Lamar Jackson's first MVP season, like the first spectacular year you
There's
get
some
from
narrative
a guy.
to it. There's some story to it.
Yeah, the first sort of spectacular season you get from a given quarterback can easily propel them into being MVP.
Now, the last thing I'll say, and whatever, Mike, it's a bold take for TV. For this to happen, Jordan Love and the Packers need to beat the good teams this year. Last year, they lost to all the teams that were better than them record-wise, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Vikings. Going to have to beat the good teams this year. And if they do, then you're in the mix.
Yeah. They just yes, they need to be one of the better teams in the NFL to have a shot at that.
Didn't even realize we had something on Matthew Stafford in the QB tiers, but let's do it. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
Look, Matthew Stafford is a very good quarterback. He should not be tier 1. This is the first time in his career he's been tier 1 at 37 years old with a bad back.
He's in the immortal chamber.
If you wanted to put him tier 1 a couple years ago, coming off the Super Bowl, I would have liked it more than now. At 37, Nick, you said QB wins. Last 3 years, he's 22-18.
No, I said I'm not a QB
With a
wins guy.
talented team.
I am a playoff wins guy.
Here's his ranks, Coach. The last 3 years.
See, here we go.
Or last year.
I told you.
This is where he ranks. That's not nonsense. That's all of last season. How in the world does that equate to tier 1? Because he played well in the playoffs?
Yes.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think Stafford should be tier 1 at all. This feels a little dated. Last 2 years for Stafford have been really interesting. I thought he was underrated in 2023 when they had all the kids. Puka's rookie season, Kobe Turner's rookie season. They were super young, remember? And they made a little playoff push. They were supposed to be rebuilding. I thought he was very underrated that year. And then last year, Stafford kind of fell apart down the stretch. Hung tough in the playoff game against the Eagles in the snow, but he did not play well down the stretch outside of the Buffalo game when they had that shootout. Didn't play well down the stretch, and the defense kept keeping teams under 14 points or whatever that cutoff was. So it feels like a year late to put Stafford that high. So I don't think that's a wild take.
I think like the first 2 years of his time with the Rams are maybe the only point in his career where you would rank him as a tier 1 quarterback.
Yeah, and the first year with the Rams was the Super Bowl,
right?
And you could make that argument, right? He had his best statistical season, or one of them. Ton of fourth quarter comebacks, clutch plays, and they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
In 22, he got hurt, and they fell apart. So there was probably like a 1 year stretch where you could make that argument, and the NFL was transitioning out of. What was tough about tier 1 at that point was you had Mahomes, Burrow had just broken out, Lamar had already had an MVP, Josh Allen was just breaking out, and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers were still playing at an elite level. So it was harder to kind of like crack the group. By the way, my overall take on QBs around the NFL, I say this a lot maybe on social media, but the last era of quarterbacks I think was stronger at the top, and I think this era is stronger depth-wise. The top 4 right now are pretty clear, and maybe they all end up being Hall of Famers. But last era's top 4 of Brady, Manning, Breeze, and Rodgers, it's like, all right, no doubt first ballot Hall of Famers. And then the next tier also has Hall of Famers and fringe Hall of Famers. And Stafford was in that era. And I don't think he was a top 10 quarterback in that era. And now he's, creeping into the top 5, top 8 for most. So I think the last era was stronger at the top. But right now, QB 25 could easily be QB 12, depending on what your criteria is.
The thing that I found interesting about this Mike Sando quarterback tiers article was, generally speaking, I think pretty much everybody sees this as a clear top 4, right, of quarterbacks in the NFL right now. It's Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow in some order. And even if you want to, tier them a little bit within that tier, it's a pretty clear top 4. And then I think there's a reasonable and fair debate about who is QB 5 in today's NFL? And then I think you would get a lot of different answers. They had a graphic in this article. It's The Athletic, right?
Yeah.
They had a graphic on this article that sort of charts based off the average responses of these 50 NFL executives, like where are these people? And there is the clear top 4, and then Stafford is 5. And what was interesting is, number 1, that he became QB5, and number 2, that they sort of pushed him closer to the top tier than the next group of people.
That's crazy to me.
Can't
That is
really
crazy
see
to
that.
me.
I don't understand that much at all. Number 1, I don't think I would rank him QB5, and number 2, I certainly don't think whoever QB5 is closer to that top tier of guys than the next tier down.
I could see Jaden Daniels absolutely being that guy.
Yeah, I mean, you
could
could make an easy argument about like another group of quarterbacks. Like Jaden Daniels could be that guy.
But
CJ
Stafford's
Stroud might
in the
become
next
that guy.
group. Yeah.
Stafford, Justin Herbert might be in that. But all of them are kind of more like Jalen Hurts. But all of them feel much closer to a group by themselves than they are the clear top 4 quarterbacks.
Last thing, while we're soapboxing a little bit here, the arguments that I've said this on the show many times, but you're allowed to repeat yourself because some people don't listen to every second.
It's a new listenership every 15 minutes. That's
every
what they
15
used to
minutes
say on radio.
On radio, right? So I apologize for repeating myself a lot on the show. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Okay,
just going to do it. You deal with it.
Nice.
You'll notice it if you notice it. When quarterbacks often get ranked by talent, right? Because if you said, well, this guy's the most talented quarterback or top 3 most talented quarterback, and remember how I used to describe Stafford? 3 games a year, the dude looks like a top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
3 games a year, the dude's out of his mind when he was with Detroit. But he didn't play like a top 3 quarterback for the entirety of the season. So please, and I think the NFL execs do this. Like, oh, Stafford's talented. He makes, he's off-balance throws and zip and arm talent, and he's most talented. But at some point, talent needs to be production and actual quarterback play. So why would we ever rank quarterbacks based off of perceived talent, which is just a vague concept anyway, rather than actual football playing?
Did you see?
It only matters, really quick, in prospect evaluation because you're trying to project them going forward.
Yeah.
Once they're in the NFL, you see them in the NFL. And Stafford he's not a tier 1 quarterback. He's played like a tier 1 quarterback maybe once in his entire career.
Yeah.
So who cares about perceived talent level?
Did you see? So Dano did quarterback rankings, and he did it sort of by trait aspect. So
I like that.
One was accuracy,
ranked
like
top
that
10
in
concept.
accuracy. One was arm strength. One was whatever. He had like 10 different categories, and he ranked all the quarterbacks 1 to 10. We haven't had him come up on the Shouty Shows segment yet, and look, I'm going to admit now, I did not click into this video and subject myself to what it actually was. I'm only going by the caption and the smug little thumbnail for it. Stephen A. Smith.
Stop the caption analysis.
Stephen A. Smith was reacting to Dano's rankings, specifically the ones that were ranking quarterbacks by mechanics, right? Now, I know you hate ranking by mechanics anyway.
I have to go rant on this one now.
Independent of that, right? You have Dano, a former NFL quarterback who presumably understands throwing mechanics. And on the other side, you have Stephen A. Smith, who has no earthly idea what he's talking about most football subjects, certainly has no idea whatsoever about quarterback mechanics. And it's like Stephen A. is ripping into Dano's mechanics rankings because Mahomes wasn't on there. And you're gold. What are we doing? This is pure, unadulterated gobshitery of the highest level.
I like that. That's great. By the way, let me do it.
Your mechanics rankings.
You should not be ranking on mechanics.
Well, you can rank them. It just doesn't necessarily mean anything.
It's stupid. Mechanics, all you're doing with mechanics, all you're doing is trying to organize your body to throw the ball accurately and with the desired velocity. That's the goal. That's what mechanics are. They're not supposed to be aesthetically pleasing. And so we ran into this historically. Remember our good friend, we haven't mentioned him in a couple months now. He's back. Christian Hackenberg. People would say,
back. Where's he back?
He's on our show. I
just
mentioned him. We should get him as a guest sometime. Hackenberg was said to have great mechanics.
Yeah.
But he never actually had good velocity. That was all fake. And he never actually threw the ball accurately. So how could you have good mechanics? The whole point of having footwork in an arm action is to throw the ball accurately And if you want to put zip on it, with the desired zip. If you want to throw a touch, with the desired touch. That's what mechanics are. And everybody thinks because when it looks aesthetically pleasing, that must be good mechanics.
Yeah.
That's my oft-used rant on mechanics. It's the same thing as pitching. They said for you, this guy's got great mechanics. Like,
can't
doesn't
wait.
matter.
I'm going to entertain this again. But, okay, what if a mechanical flaw in your throwing motion is leaving stuff on the table? Like, what if you're getting the ball accurately where it needs to go, but what if you're like losing 5 miles an hour? There's throws you can't make anymore because your mechanics are lousy.
That's a thing. That is absolutely a thing. So you could say this guy has.
So that's a reason to value mechanics.
Yes, but people don't rank it like that, right? So Dan or anyone else, no one's going like that. This is why there's the drive line for baseball. This is why there are throwing gurus and everything. Yes, there are people like I gained 5 miles an hour as a professional because I made my mechanics better. But Dan's not being like, Mahomes has bad mechanics. He's got more velocity and accuracy in him. He's saying he doesn't set his feet enough or whatever, which doesn't actually affect the desired result. If you could prove that you could do something, if nobody's saying like, man, Brock Purdy's hip-shoulder separation is awful. He's leaving 3 miles an hour of or tighter spiral on the table. Therefore, his mechanics aren't that good. That is actually how you would rank them. I'm not saying the mechanics can't ever be ranked. I'm saying that the way that they're ranked is basically, are they aesthetically pleasing? Yes or no. Do you set your feet? Yes or no? And that's good or bad. Anyway.
Okay. I'm done with that argument.
So I was a professional thrower of objects. I know what I'm doing here. As was Dan, but I'm arguing with him.
Yeah.
Can we get Dan on the show finally? We get stuff to talk about.
Seems unlikely.
All right, we got an unusual stat on Dak Prescott.
But I took the liberty, right, of doing some research, Dio and Shefty, because y'all will appreciate this. I wanted to look at this category. Career earnings among active quarterbacks per playoff win.
Oh, my
Career earnings per playoff
like
win.
making the stats work for you, Stephen A.
Wow. You're something special, Stephen A.
Yeah, I am. I truly am. The point is that when you look at Patrick Mahomes, right? You look at Patrick Mahomes, right? He's got 17 playoff wins. Do you know that his average is like at around $10.7 million per playoff win? $10.7 million.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is number 3, probably all time. I mean, Kirk Cousins and Deshaun Watson are ahead of him. But Dak Prescott is 3rd. Averaging $124.3 million for 2 playoff wins. You know what I'm saying? This is what he gets. So he makes sure he gets his money. He makes sure he gets the headlines. He makes sure he gets the publicity. He just makes sure to do everything but win the second it turns into the postseason. It's what he does. And yet here we are.
So number one, Stephen A. didn't do research. Somebody handed him research. Going back to that Taylor Swift versus the Spice Girls thing, you know what Stephen A. is? I'm trying to think who the right person is, but he's a performer, right? He's a lip syncer. He doesn't actually write the songs. He doesn't actually come up with but he's a performer. He just goes out there and his delivery is over the top and ridiculous. And, like Skip Bayless now just sounds like a drained human being where it's monotonous, monotone. There's nothing there. It's just like, this is just a man waiting for the end. Stephen A. still bringing, the voices all over the place, the inflection, the hype. He gets excited. Like he's just a pantomime performer an analyst. You're
saying Hembo's over there. I don't know if he works on that show at all, but he's just throwing some numbers at him and it's like, make music out of this.
Yeah. Somebody's like, here's a disingenuous stat about Dak Prescott, and Steve's like, say no more. Got it. Got you covered.
I know. It might actually be in the intro. My favorite part about this is when the Shouty Showers, they really tell you that they've done their research on this. It's like, most of the time, I'm just making stuff up. I'm just yelling into the ether. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But this time, I decided to put some numbers. I actually decided to do some research and construct a take around this made-up ridiculous stat, which is,
and the number is always like patently ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
like,
of course.
even if you knew nothing about analytics or data, or which they don't, right?
This is Peyton analytics right here.
But like even someone that knows nothing about the integrity of data would know that that's a ridiculous number to be pulling out and be like, I found the answer.
Now, so what I would do on a Shouty show, and the reason why I don't get invited to such things, is I would say, have you adjusted that for inflation? Like maybe Dan Fouts is the inflation adjusted.
More of a fraudulent
maybe Dan Marino actually was stealing the most money per playoff win.
Probably.
Maybe Peyton Manning was actually adjusted for inflation. The guy's got only 8 playoff wins or whatever it is, or 13, whatever the number. It's not that bad. Maybe someone else is in there.
Kirk Cousins.
I think he said Dak was 3. I think Cousins got to be up there per playoff win.
Right.
That's a fun. You could divide anything. You just divide anything.
Divide anything by anything else.
It created another number.
Do your own research.
The Shouty shows are gold when they bring the data to the table.
But this is this is peak Shouty show because this is the difference, right? You've got 2 people at the top in very different ways of doing it. You've got Nick Wright, who is carefully crafting a take that actually will piss people off, right? Because that's what you're doing here. And then you've got Stephen A., who's not crafting a take, but is just performing like a pantomime take that already exists and has existed for years. And someone's like, what's another way we could do this for the 700th time on this show? And he's like, well, if you feed me a number, I could just go. That's it. So it's amazing. So you've got these two different archetypes of the craft right now. The guy that understands what he's doing and is actually, creating this thing from scratch, and then the guy who's just a performer.
Yeah. It's impressive that Stephen A. can perform.
It's like
that.
It's like actors, right? It's like the method actor versus the guy that just reads the script, right? You've got Daniel Day-Lewis over here, and then you've got whoever the finest proponent of the just give me the script and I'll go.
You're going to have to send Nick all of these clips.
To be clear, I still hate everything about the Shouty shows. I hate both equally. I hate the people that come up with the take because it works, and then I hate the pantomime performer of the take.
There's a big shakeup in the Shouty shows this summer. Just saying. We've had one season of Shouty shows reactions, and there's a big shakeup in the Shouty shows.
And several of the shows
completely unrelated. There's nothing off camera or anything that is the reason.
Several of the shows that we were drawing from no longer exist.
We're losing content left and right.
Yeah,
we're gonna need new Shouty shows.
You say that. I suspect they're gonna backfill it pretty comfortably.
All right, we got one more famous actor talking Jerry Jones.
I've been a Cowboy fan since the '60s. He's making it hard for me. Not to be a fan, because I'm still a Cowboy fan. I'm still going to have the star on the side of the hat. But he ain't thinking about us. He's thinking about his pocket. There's box office and there's Oscars. Jerry, been a while, huh? You ain't been to the show, you wouldn't know.
Ooh.
Wouldn't been to the show, you wouldn't know.
Uh-oh.
Haven't been to the show, so you wouldn't know what it is to win.
Now, this is an underexplored area of the genre. What if we took an actual elite actor and just set him going with a take?
Yeah.
Like that's Denzel Washington for anyone unaware.
When you hear it back to back, can't you see Stephen A., some of the pacing?
Of course. That's
setup,
what I'm saying. He is an actor. He is a performer in the same way that people like Denzel Washington are performers.
Denzel's the best at this.
They're not actually, rogue cops gone but nobody's done this before.
But Steve, you could see the imitation there.
This is the
Stephen
first
A.'s
time.
Trying to,
of course,
pace it the same way.
This is the first time in a while somebody has broken new ground on a Shouty show
that
segment.
Is good.
What if we took an actual elite level performer and made him into a Shouty show artist?
We should try that. Can we? Any actors we can bring on here?
Do we know any actors of a high caliber?
We get De Niro on here with
I don't have a direct line to Rob.
Can we get De Niro ranking quarterbacks? Can we get, who else could we get here?
Yeah.
Who else can we actually get?
I can't think of anybody useful. Maybe Chris must know some people. We get Chris to pull some strings for us. Can we still do that? We could text him. He can only ignore us.
Yeah, Chris, get us some actor friends.
Yeah.
Get some
what A-list actors do you know in the Cincinnati area?
We're going to be we're ranking the best defenses in the league. We need an actor to talk us through it.
What would be the ideal take to just hand
it's got to be a GOAT discussion. It's got to be like a weekly go-to. Like you tell the actor, based off whatever Mahomes does every week and whatever Dak does every week, how is their legacy affected by the last thing that we saw?
Okay, so we get a good performance from, let's say, Mahomes. You're like, okay, Pacino, I need you to go out here and argue that Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. Let's go.
Pacino, yes, and it's got to be like weekly. Like you give them the same subject weekly. Like whatever's the last thing you saw has to impact
MVP,
the totality,
the MVP
race.
MVP.
That's it. That's what it is. We need an actor to break down the MVP race on a weekly basis, and it's gonna be like, well, I just saw Tua go off on Sunday Night Football, so it's him.
Yeah,
and that's what we'll go with. It's all about Jerry though, not building a winning team for the Cowboys. That's what Denzel's miffed by.
Jerry Jones, yeah.
We've got a little bit more on Jerry and what he believes in here.
I do believe if we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at. The Cowboys are a soap opera, 365 days.
The screening will begin
when it gets slow,
momentarily.
I'll stir it up.
Please take your seats.
And so it's wonderful to have the great athletes, have the great players, but there's something more there. There's sizzle, there's emotion, and if you will, there's controversy. That controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention.
Yeah, so we finally got some sort of, well, I say finally, this is something he said previously in the past, multiple times, I think, but we got confirmation on video of Jerry basically saying all this stuff, the Micah Parsons contract, the Dak Prescott contract, it's all deliberate. I do it for the attention. I stir it up when there's no attention on the Dallas Cowboys. I create some because it's good for the bottom line. So somebody described it, I forget who tweeted this at us, as, a theory that I had. It wasn't really a theory. It was something that he's basically publicly said previously already. This may be the clearest version of it, but, this is how Jerry does it. He deliberately stokes controversy because he believes it's the best thing for the bottom line of the Dallas Cowboys. And it's hard to argue from that perspective. The Cowboys are the most valuable NFL franchise out there by like a couple of $1 billion. They make a ton of money, even though the team hasn't won the playoffs, on a run for a while. The only downside of that, there's two downsides. Number one, it clearly isn't the best thing for the salary cap of the Dallas Cowboys. And in addition to being the owner, Jerry is also the general manager. So it's good for the bottom line, but it's bad for his salary cap. Because every time he strings this out for a year, the number only goes up. And Dak Prescott ends up signing a monster contract instead of whatever you could have gotten to previously. The only other thing that interests me is, are there players in on this game as well, right? Like, is Micah Parsons aware that this is just a dance we do to get attention and, don't worry about it, sit tight, and in a year's time you'll be the richest defensive player in the NFL? Or is Micah Parsons genuinely pissed off now, right? Because eventually you're going to alienate one of these guys enough that you're goofing around for a year to get publicity is going to cause one of your star players to leave the building. And that would be very bad.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You have other famous coaches and executives. Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Right.
Attributed to Vince Lombardi, but it may have been someone else initially. Kicked that off. Just win, baby.
Yeah.
Al Davis, which they didn't do much of in his later years, but in the early years they did. And Jerry's essentially admitting it's not just about winning.
Sure.
And it is about the soap opera and everything, which ultimately makes you're in the news, and I guess you make more money, you have more
the classic,
fans, followers through the years.
All publicity is good publicity.
So he does believe
Jerry Jones subscribes to.
It's a great question if the players buy in, because I know coaches who have gone there, we'll say, and came from different places. And when they got there, there was this, I don't know if it was cultural straight from the top, or I don't know if it was just that particular coaching staff. There was elements of like, we're the Dallas Cowboys. When it's 3rd and 1, we run the ball and pick it up. Like there was this attitude of we're the Dallas Cowboys. And I do wonder how much, more so than like, we don't need to out scheme people. We don't, in certain situations, we're just the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to win the Dallas Cowboys way, whatever that is. And ironically, they're not a very good running team the last couple of years. Certainly not that physical. But I do wonder how much of that comes from the top. And if that is instilled culturally from Jerry Jones, from the top, which is like, hey, we're going to, you're going to get paid. I mean, Micah can't be that upset. He's like, I just don't get hurt. Hold the line, and eventually I'm going to make $8 million more than I would have a year ago.
If he's looking at this rationally, but that's the thing, right? If he's in on the thing, it's fine. Well, it's not fine. You're still hurting the salary cap, and that's not good in any way, shape, or form. But in terms of like, what's the worst thing that could happen with this approach? The worst thing that could happen is he essentially, literally just for clicks, creates these controversies, pisses a player off to the point where that player is like, I'm out of here. And your best player and one of the best players in the entire NFL goes somewhere else because you screwed him around. So if Micah Parsons knows that this is just what Jerry does and all I have to do is sit tight and then I'll become the richest defensive player in the NFL, all is fine. Now, you're still, I don't know if players work on this level necessarily, but like Micah Parsons started off this process saying, I don't need to be the best paid defensive player in the league. I want to win things with the Dallas Cowboys. So it still works against that. But effectively, it's not the worst thing in the world. But if you're stoking the controversy is like effectively like he's painting Micah Parsons looks bad out of this whole situation because it's like, you had this conversation with Jerry Jones and then you thought that was a deal. And actually, Micah Parsons is like, okay, now go talk to my agent. Like Jerry's effectively arguing that Micah Parsons is in the wrong with this because he thought he had a handshake deal and blah, blah, blah. And okay, everyone is siding with Micah Parsons here. But if Micah's looking at this and being like, what is the old man doing? Like the old man's hanging me out to dry, telling me I'm the problem in this negotiation. Like if he genuinely thinks that's insulting, I'm offended by that. Like at some point, this whole screwing around process may offend one of these players enough that they're like, I'm done.
The two other points I just wanted to make is Jerry references the salary cap as kind of like an excuse. He's like, there's a cap.
He's creating his own problems and then blaming them on the salary cap.
For those who are young, the cap started in like 94. It was like early 90s, early to mid 90s. Around 01, 02, 03, there were teams that had serious salary cap issues. Like they would have legitimate fire sales. My Jaguars, for instance, where teams would just have all of their veterans leave in an offseason because they could not manage the cap. Jerry still talks about the cap like it's 20 years ago. It's like, man, there's only so much money to go around. There's nothing we can do. Meanwhile, the Saints have, credit card debt till 2040. 2040, and the Eagles have, they're going to have their $900 million over the cap 4 years from now, so they could be good now. Like there's ways to manage that stuff. So he still complains about it like it's 2001 or whatever. And then the other part is for a guy that wants to create controversy in the soap opera, he doesn't do it with coaches, right? We talk about this all the time. We talk like Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, and now they go Brian Schottenheimer. He has not made a flashy, celebrity-driven, like there are rumors that he's going to go get Dion or whatever. He has not done it with the coaching staff, which is really interesting to me.
He doesn't spend in many of the areas that a effectively, unrestricted spending owner spends. Now, he does in some places. I mean, look at the facility, look at the star, look at everything that kind of burnishes the myth of the Dallas Cowboys, money is spent there. We get to have big shiny things.
That's
in
part
a
of
big
the
shiny
investment,
place,
though, too, right? We're going to have big events here.
But it's
People
all
are gonna pay us for it. It's business.
It's all designed around creating this image. Like he creates the image of the Dallas Cowboys being America's team, being the biggest, shiniest thing in the sport. But then everywhere where you could actually use money in order to steal percentage points against other teams that do not spend money, he doesn't put the money there, doesn't spend it on the coaching staff, doesn't spend it on like a limitless, backroom staff that can help with various areas. And as you said, like complains about the salary cap, man, we can't go out there and, pay a big free agent because the salary cap. It's like, yeah, but you're only squeezed against the salary cap because you jerked around the last 3 big contracts and they're collectively getting paid $20 million a year more than they should be if you just signed the deal when you were supposed to sign the deal. Like you created that problem.
I guess the point, I would almost rather him, mess around with the celebrity coaches or whatever rather than the players in the cap and the contract.
Of course. I mean, this is clearly not.
You can have your soap opera and still build the best team possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. So the approach of all publicity is good publicity. I mean, he has interpreted that to, if I create negative controversy, that is a good thing overall. And while technically, from the bottom line, he is correct, you could also try and get the publicity with good publicity. Like, you could just go and hire a lunatic, like a massive name, or like you could go and spend $30 million and buy Dion out of his Colorado contract, install Dion as your head coach. And okay, maybe that wouldn't work either, but it would be theoretically positive publicity as opposed to negative publicity for just screwing players around. Like, it would amount to the same thing, but one might actually help you.
The last thing on this, like, what if he did go to the absolute extreme here? Because he doesn't, right? What if they did? Imagine if they did draft Shadur Sanders. They had 5 rounds of opportunities to draft Shadur Sanders.
Sure.
Like, in the 4th round, just throw a flyer on Shadur. Like, who cares that you already have Dak Prescott?
Well, that's the other way. He doesn't really play to the.
They didn't draft Johnny Football.
To the publicity.
I think
which everyone always says he will. Like, every year, it's like Jerry's going to do this
I think
thing.
they locked Jerry out of the draft room
Sure.
when Johnny was on the clock.
But every year, because of the way he approaches this stuff, because of that quote that we read out at the start, that we heard at the start of this thing, everyone assumes he's going to do the thing that would create the most headlines in the draft, right? So this year it was Ashton Genty or Shadur Sanders. Like, this is what people say Jerry's going to do. And actually in the draft, it doesn't really happen ever. It's only this one specific area where he creates this drama.
It is notable because they have a good staff there. They have a good scouting staff. They have a good analytics team and group of people that they have there. And I think the one thing that they really give them, full control over is the draft. And they have drafted extremely well over the last 10 years or so. Where they've struggled is all of the edges from a team building perspective. And again, now it's like, we don't care. We don't seem to care. So here we are.
We have to wonder, like I said, 3 contracts can chew up that amount of money from your salary cap because of this approach. Like, that might invalidate, even if you were better at drafting than everybody else by 5 percentage points or whatever, that 5 percentage points is immediately gone by that, balanced out in terms of roster construction, salary cap management, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this is not an insignificant problem he is creating for the salary cap. It has to impact winning.
It's a problem for us because we assume every team is trying to maximize their ability to win a championship.
Yeah.
And he's essentially admitting
it's not
our goal.
Right. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit this subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
The all-knowing algorithm is convinced that you'll like these videos as well, and frankly, who are we to argue?